Hey guys, so I was just channeling a little bit to see what I should talk about tonight, and so I've just written a little bit. Yeah, this is what came through. I started with what shall we talk about tonight, and then the reply is music of the night, the phantom of the symphony of stars, how you are a part of the cacophony of men's minds. Throughout time we've wondered what you are, and now we're here to say the service is in its ace. Can you dig it? Atticus, as in Atlantis, Atlas at last, an architect. Do you detect the rhythm reflects as the jester infects with a witness? Do I deflect or detest such tests within one's chest? Set in sun, a night's moves comes as dawn enlightens pawn's powers to see, release uncertainty and tame the game's maze that made man's minds mad with fear-riddled rage. Exchanger for more mage sage, so sacred, ached in your red bed. You've bled the scared right out of your head by treading lightly to honour thee who dwells in eternity. For therein lies your fate. It's never too late to realise you are the master of your craft, and none other than witchcraft of the master's art. Yeah, so that was the reply to what should we talk about tonight, from the Nine's time. So I quickly googled Atticus, and apparently that's like the pseudonym name for Anonymous, the guy, which is pretty interesting because and the architect is also another name, like a guy like that works for him. I watched a video of that the other day, which what they spoke about was pretty interesting, of the changes of what's going on, and in general, like the call to unity has we are all putting the call out now as to release all the shit and come together and say, like, we've had enough. Like, we don't agree with this lifestyle that they've got us in anymore, and power to the people. We do have the power in numbers. We've got the numbers. It's only when we agree to their rules and everything that it continues. So, like, and it is now it's getting to the point now, the pointy end, where we are all realizing that for as long as we continue the bullshit that they've got us, the rat race type thing, it'll continue. But if we all choose to say, nah, this is shit, I want to live in a loving, peaceful, stress-free environment, so I'm not getting involved in that drama and that bullshit that you want to keep feeding us anymore, and I'm going to politely decline and step out of it, and that's all there is to it. And that was kind of the general gist of the video that I saw the other day. Like what was behind it, that an inspiring kind of message that we have the numbers, and what we want is unity. We don't want to attack each other. We want to, you know, at the heart of it, we just want to all get along. We want peace, like give peace a chance. We're all wise enough now, you know, to realize all that bullshit of the past just breeds more bullshit. You know, and you know, it is time that we peacefully just kind of turned away from the dramatization and the you know, the fear mongering of whoever, in order, you know, consumerism as well, you know, like, yeah. So I mean, basically, like, that's what I'm getting, and that, you know, like, realize our own internal personal power of self-sovereignty, that no one governs us, no one can like take our power away from us unless we agree to it. Like, we are at the core of it, we are born self-sovereign beings, and the only reason we're all struggling is because that is manipulated out of us from a very young age. And now is the time that we're breaking that cycle. We're choosing not to go, you know, we're choosing to say no to that now. And like, I'm seeing that in so many different ways, but like, even today I was like reading something about, there's this thing with a woman's movement about, you know, it's quite confronting, like full on, but the general gist of it is like that women, you know, so some women around the world are like literally saying, we have the right to say that we will no longer breed with you, we will no longer have children unless this world is a heart-based, loving society. Like, I get to choose whether I reproduce and who I reproduce with. And like, I mean, it's kind of basically the conscious evolution of the feminine has got to the point where we're saying, you know, and you know, like, kind of, that's it, like, it's time to actually evolve and stop. I mean, it's basically the you know, the generational curse breakers. Like, we're here right now where it's time to break the patterns that we no longer agree with, and there is more and more people becoming consciously aware, higher frequency, and they just will not, and it's spreading like wildfire, you know, they just will not continue the same old patterns. And, you know, and this, what I'm talking about with the women, is just one example of that. As like women, you know, this is how we reproduce as a species. And if women say, you know, get to the point and, you know, say, you know, I choose not to continue this pattern. I choose not to get into a relationship for the sake of it. I choose not to have a child if I don't want one. I choose not to have a relationship with anyone that can't be consciously evolving as well. So I thought that was like, I mean, it's pretty extreme, like, but the idea behind it is basically what is going on, that everyone is coming to this evolution in consciousness, that like priorities, guys, you know, like we don't agree to this like structure, the societal structure that we've had in the past anymore, and some serious things need to change. And you know, I'm not saying that freaking women are taking the world hostage, like, or you know, it's a kind of a bribe thing. It's just, it is just a matter of like the development of where we are right now, is that if a man and this is what the kind of I was reading, it's like basically if a man is not at the point where he is consciously evolving, his seed, his DNA will end. Like that's where we're getting to, is that equality. And you know, maybe this is where it went south way back in the day, because you know, I don't know, but like basically, you know, it is like I was saying the other day in my video when I was watching that documentary of, you know, the evolution of Earth, and the what is it, when the evolution of the species, the strongest will survive type thing. The what's that saying? I can't think of it right now. But anyway, basically that is that we're at this point now where it is like our DNA has decided, you know, like our essence has decided enough is enough, and we're evolving very quickly all of a sudden. Like there's this, it's an evolution cycle, and it is like you either evolve right now, or like your line doesn't go forward. And you know what, like maybe this is what the whole you know, how people are talking about the new earth and who's going forward. Like maybe it is more of a, like a long game, playing the long game type thing. But basically, if you like zoom out a little bit and take a look about what's going on and the evolution of relationships and society, you know, as we move forward, it is going to be like you either consciously evolve, or like your family line ends here. Like that doesn't go forward because the societal structure of just freaking having kids, like having to get married, like women's like so many places around the world where, you know, women are basically, you know, there's no choice. Like you get married at a young age and you start breeding. Like that is stopping. That is slowly that is slowly stopping. There is a lot of people not being able to have kids anymore. It is basically like nature, or the energy, or society, like whatever is going on, the energies are pretty much like squeezing us from like every angle, saying evolve or be left behind. Like really, if you look at it from an animal evolution perspective, a consciousness evolution perspective, over like as a developmental process for the species, we're at like a critical juncture point. And I don't know, I don't know if like something massive is going to happen, or this is just like the start of the, not even like the start. I feel like it's been slowly coming for a while. It's just that, right now it feels quite tense right now, like something big's going to happen. But there are a lot of big things happening. There are a lot of big things happening, really. If you zoom out, you look at it, there's a lot of change going on. Yeah. And there is this separation happening, and I see it. And people talk about the separation between 3D people and separating of Earth, and it's like, it's not a physical, who fucking knows really, but it's not like a physical separation or anything, but it is like, if there's so many people out there that are so stuck in the old ways that they literally won't be able to handle life as it is rapidly changing. And I don't know what will happen with those people. I don't know, right? Whether it's just a long game thing and, they go throughout their lives and, that's it. But, it might be a long game thing, is that, let's just say people like me, for example, the flower power movement of the 60s, 70s, who came in, we made they made a lot of noise, extremely passionate, but it only lasted a short while. They were pretty much smothered out. Let's just say it's that movement, but now that movement isn't going anywhere. That movement, which was a minority, is now becoming the majority. So just put that into perspective, that the people dead against that kind of movement just won't be able to deal with the reality that's going on around them, and they'll just either slowly dissipate or slowly be absorbed and grow and evolve and join the new movement. And this is what we've got going on worldwide, is that there is a massive shift happening of the flower power kind of deal vibe, but it's not freaking front center in the news creating havoc like apparently it did back then. It is all in the background, and it's like this silent smog coming and spreading, and not in a bad way, in a good way. And all of a sudden, it's just going to be like everywhere. And the world is going to have to change around it, because it's no longer the minority, it's the majority. It's spreading like a sweet smell, like a sweet smelling smog, like high vibe. We're changing, you know, with the times finally. Like, it is so overdue, it's ridiculous. But anyway, that's kind of like the general gist of what I feel like is going on. And you know, and the old ways are just like, yeah, I mean, I've kind of spoken about this in one of my channelings from the Syrians, that, you know, the old ways, the old guys that are still making these kind of, want to hang on to the old times, they'll kind of go out fighting, but you know, those ways just don't, you know, it'll get to a point where those ways just don't work anymore, because everyone sees through it for what it is. You know, like, people are getting aware enough now, kind of across the board, that these are manipulation tactics, and people are informed enough now that a lot of these, you know, the sneaky manipulation tactics just see through, and they don't know any other tricks, because, you know, they're holding on to the old ways, so they're not evolving. So they're literally gonna be like out with the old bathwater, like that quick down the drain. Like, they're just going to be inconsequential, if that's the right word, like insignificant for what we've got going on moving forward, because they only know one way, and that's the manipulative bullshit, power grabbing, and which is not the vibe that we're moving forward, because we're moving forward with the flower power vibe, of unity and authenticity, and, you know, love is our drug. That's basically like my opinion on the whole kind of thing. And, you know, like, if an organism doesn't get any nourishment, attention, it withers away. And that is what we'll see with these old ways and old institutions, because the people, you know, who have the numbers and the energy that they're sucking from us, we're just going to stop giving our energy to it. So they've got nothing. So they'll wither away. They'll have to either evolve or, you know, go. They'll just dissolve those structures, those, you know, like, that is just the way of it. Yeah. And, you know, maybe this is it's a long game, or maybe this will happen really quickly, because some things will happen really quickly in order to take substantial amounts of power away from these institutions and everything because of what happens. And then there'll just be more flower power people all of a sudden because of these events that are going to happen in quick succession. And sometimes that's all it takes to rapidly change the vibe of the majority. I'm sure there is a substantial amount that are in the in-between of the old institution and the flower power. There's still a lot in the in-between, but if certain events happen to completely disrupt their power dynamics, to really enlighten everyone, let's face it, in this day and age, people know that it is out there, people can see, and there's just no getting away from it. When something comes out and is shared with society, it is shared around the world. So if that sort of thing happens, it could happen in so many different ways that immediately and catastrophically disrupts their control tactics, blah blah blah. The power shift just immediately changes, and drastic changes happen, like immediately, like the vibe changes, immediately. Society changes super quick. We're to be honest, we are like kids. How so many people worry about the changes to kids' routine or lives, but really when it comes down to it, the kids, they are so receptive to change. As humans, we are very receptive, dynamic creatures. We adapt really quickly to our surroundings and everything. If we are resilient, and this is where it's the strongest will survive. There is always that portion of a species which doesn't adapt quick enough, but the majority of humans are like little kids, that we are so resilient. We are naturally resilient, especially if we have this self, the safety within, and basic, we can provide ourselves. We know that we can provide ourselves, that we know that we can rely on ourselves, and even then, in these moments, a lot of these moments where big change happens immediately, we find that aspect of ourselves switches on. We don't know how we will handle a really challenging situation until we go through it. But it's how a lot of people, their power switches on when they are challenged. And I'm just getting this kind of the X-Men vibe is humans are currently going through this challenge zone where it will make X-Men of us. It will activate our our resiliency and our inner, our inner power, our inner awareness, and for the majority, obviously there's always that aspect that just can't, that doesn't, but that is the point of evolution, you know what I mean, of a species. And like we're all getting bit by a spider, and the majority of us are going to become like Spider-Man, but some just won't take to that level of spidiness. I don't know, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of, my idea of the current vibes of what's going on. So like, if you watch this and you've got the outside kind of dramatization that's happening, all the time in the news and stuff around the world. It kind of, think of it as a test of your inner resolve and self-sovereignty. Like, try not to let outside influences affect your inner stability. It doesn't mean that you don't think about it or feel like it's really shit or terrible. You just don't get drawn into the fear tactics that the media and everything try and stir up, whether they just do it to get the numbers, people watching, so they over dramatize just to get more people to watch. But the result of that is inciting fear in the general population, which then disrupts their ability to stabilize their own frequency and feel their own inner power and stay in a peaceful place within themselves. If we're in a state of stress and fear, then we lose touch with our higher thinking and our higher feeling. It pretty much makes us, a slave to the system. So overcoming that fear, so we can think rationally and calmly and feel rationally and calmly in the moment, and stay in touch with our true feelings and true thinkings, make good decisions and everything within the moment. And that's how we become more resilient and stronger creatures and evolve with the times, rather than getting carried away and resorting, going back to our most basest the lowest of the low, reacting out of fear and turning it to anger and attacking and blaming and the whole freeze, fight, flight mentality that stress and fear brings on. you become out of control. You don't have control. You cannot make a decision, you know, for yourself. It is like, you know, whatever they've got going on in the world has now taken over and is controlling your life and your actions and reactions. So, you know, that's why, you know, like staying true to yourself and having, it's that alchemy of yourself, like of your emotions, of your environment, making the right choices for you, what you allow in, how you think about it, how you feel about it, how you react to it, and how you move forward. So you are the only one that has any say in what you do. Like, you're choosing your world, you're choosing what is going on around you. Yeah. Yeah, so basically that's kind of what wanted to come through. I'll leave that one there so I don't go too long, and I'll do another one and draw some cards and see what other vibe wants to come through, because I think that's kind of just the general gist from the other realms that kind of wanted to come through. A little bit of advice for the goings on at the moment, and trying to, you know, just encourage us to keep tapping into our self-sovereignty and unity consciousness rather than divisive reactions from outside influences, especially what's going on in the news. I haven't watched the news in years, so I don't exactly know, but I mean, I know enough that, you know, I know a lot is going on right now, and I kind of, you know, got the impression that it's just the start. But, you know, saying that, I feel like at the same time that all that is kind of happening, there's all this other equal I mean, if you consider it from the frequency war, right, of high frequency versus a low frequency, and obviously the war and bombing and missiles and all this like drama on the news, like that's the dark, ugly shit. Trying to, you know, battle the light frequency, right? And, you know, we're seeing all that all in our freaking faces. They're trying really hard. I mean, you know, whatever. But basically what I'm kind of saying is that this stuff, the light, the high vibe frequency, it is fucking happening and spreading like wildfire all in the background, just as, you know, like this is full on in your face. This is like the sun coming out, the sun rising, this or, you know, like, shit, it's like, it's not freaking there in your face, because it doesn't have to be, but it is all underneath. It is just spreading all over, like the sunlight shining as it rises. This is all just happening behind it, and this is, and you know, all this bullshit, the other stuff's happening. I mean, it's just like one dark storm cloud. It's just one storm on the planet, which is just got no chance against the sun, which is going to keep coming up every day and spreading its light around. You know, like, it's not in your face kind of thing like it was in the 60s and 70s. It is just a silent knowing that is spreading of peace, unity, harmony, love, joy, like, you know, like a brotherhood of man type thing. That, you know, we're so sick of all the bullshit of the wars. Like, it's so done and dusted. Why are you still doing it? Like, and you know, all this stuff is just going to keep spreading until there's just no chance for that storm cloud to continue anymore. It is going to evaporate. But you know, because it's so like in your face, like trying to shoot freaking lightning bolts and, you know, make some thunder noise or whatever, it thinks it's like ruling over everything, but you know, it's not. It's just one little storm cloud, which is it's just got no chance. Yeah, so don't look at that one little storm cloud over the entire, you know, species and think that that is everything, because it's not. Like, your choice on what you look at is your choice, and if everyone looks towards the sun, and the beautiful warmth shining, that storm cloud is just, you know, becomes nothing. You kind of forget about it. I'm not saying like it's not a big deal, but you know what I mean. Like, energetically, vibe wise, you get to decide what you bring into your reality. And if more people decide that their reality is sunshine, there'll be less storm clouds. And that's just the way it is. And that is not freaking wishful thinking. That is creation at its finest. Like, that's the basis of our reality. Like, what we focus on, there is. So, you know, the only power they have over you is to try and get you to focus on them and what they've got going on and what they keep telling you you have to look at. But the only person that decides what you look at and what you bring into your world is you. So you have a choice. You have the choice of what your world is, of what your reality is. And that is the basis of this flower power movement. It is not in your face. It is just individuals deciding what they choose their reality to be. And that is one of peace and unity and authenticity. And that is the movement that we've got going on. And that is the the vibe of that anonymous movement of, I only just saw one video, but that's the kind of general kind of vibe. Like, get on board with choosing your own better reality. Like, what do you want your world to be? You get to decide. Turn the telly off. Don't watch the news. You know what I mean? You know, each choice you make is creating your reality. So who's making your decisions? Basically. I'll leave it there. Yeah, just remember, you were born as a self-sovereign creator being, and you have the power to create your reality by your choices and your feelings about your choices. So that's what we need to work on, and master. Keep working on it. Keep working on it until you freaking love the world you're living in, because you're choosing it. It is your world, so make it yours. Make it something that you want, that you desire, that you are at peace with, that you wake up to every day. And I am fairyland, whatever that means for you. And keep working on that, because that is our power. And fear takes that away from you. So, like, become more aware. Okay, I'll leave it there.